Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gloria and thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Today I wanted to go through some highlight plants that you don't expect, and you might think they're low light plants because we're kind of under the misconception that plants can thrive in low light, which is not true. So I wanted to give you guys some options if you have really bright homes and like a south facing window. I hope you guys find today's video helpful and give you guys some recommendations and tips. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my new videos, and yeah, let's jump right into today's video. So first off, I wanted to go through this one plant that a lot of people think are low light tolerant plants. It's the family of like snake plants, so sansevierias. I think these ones are very underrated. These plants make rooms look a lot nicer with kind of a big giant floor plant. There's lots of sansevierias out there. I personally only have the Laurenti, which is the one with variegation on the outside, but this one is a very highlight loving plant. It can actually do really well in a south facing window. You might have to acclimate it to kind of direct sunlight if you were to place it outdoors over time. So in the spring or summer, you could bring this plant outside and have it in bright shade, or if you acclimate it well enough, you could even have it in a little bit of direct sunlight. This one is essentially like a succulent and it could handle low light. It won't die, but it'll do so much better and grow so much faster in bright light. Something like, let's say, the Sansevieria whalefin. So this one is one of those really fat chubby leaves. You tend to find these as like a single leaf plant. I think the price has come down a little bit over the years, but I still think it's a little bit expensive compared to the other snake plant varieties that are out there. There's also a variegated whalefin, which I just personally like just the regular whalefin more. But I think maybe one day I might get a whalefin, but today is not the day. This one is definitely a highlight loving plant. If you didn't know, now you do. Moving on to the next one on the list, which is a bird of paradise. This one, there's two varieties out there. There's a white bird of paradise and an orange bird of paradise. So the white one has much wider, fatter leaves and they grow a lot larger compared to the orange one. But this one can really tolerate bright light as well. It would definitely not do well like really pulled back from a window, or even in like a north facing window. That's definitely not enough light for this plant. You would definitely need like a south facing window or a west facing window. This one loves light, but if you were to kind of have it in direct sunlight, it could get burnt. You do need to kind of acclimate your plant, which is very important if you were to ever kind of transition it to more direct sunlight. But I would say just like a bright shade is good if you were to keep it indoors or outdoors. South facing windows are really good if you're in the northern hemisphere. I personally like the white bird of paradise a lot more just because I like kind of the really big leaves. They do grow a little bit slower just because they're such big plants. You usually see these as floor plants when you're kind of decorating rooms, and they fill out a room really nicely. So I think if you're looking for a big giant focal point, then definitely go for a bird of paradise, but the white one. The colors for the bird of paradise is indicative of what color the flowers will be. These flowers kind of resemble birds, which I personally don't really think so. A white flower versus an orange flower. But I mean, not all birds of paradise will bloom for you. If you buy it for the flowers, you're probably going to be let down. You should probably buy it for the foliage and kind of the shape of the foliage that you like. Moving on, I want to talk about another plant, which is a ficus. So the Ficus benjamina. So this one actually really needs very bright light. It doesn't do well really in like homes because I don't think it's bright enough. I think this will do better outdoors. It tends to shed a lot of leaves when it doesn't get enough light, and it's a little bit finicky, similar to kind of the Ficus lyrata, which is the fiddle leaf fig. They're in the same family of plants, but the benjamina definitely needs a lot more light. There's like the regular one and also a variegated one. I think the variegated one looks very cute and pretty, but I would probably never buy that because I don't think homes are really bright enough for a Ficus benjamina, and you'll probably be let down if you buy one of those and you're disappointed when leaves keep dropping and you can't seem to keep this plant happy. Very nice plant otherwise. Generally, the Ficus like family of plants need pretty bright highlight. I mean, you could get away with like medium light for something like the Ficus elastica, which is just like the rubber plant, so rubber tree plant, but anything with variegation needs brighter light, and the benjamina, you need highlight or else it will probably die. So it's not a recommendation, it's like a must. Next on the list, I want to talk about this plant. I wouldn't really consider it a succulent just because it can grow fairly large, and I think people kind of think succulents are very tiny and compact like echeverias or like cacti, that sort of thing, but something like a jade plant, which can grow really large and turn into like a tree. Jade plants are very tolerant of high light. If you were to bring it into direct sunlight, make sure you once again acclimate it. For me, I made this mistake this past summer because I brought this plant and I put it into my balcony, which is south facing, and there was zero shade. So it was just literally in direct sunlight for many hours in a day, and it just burned the leaves. The leaves eventually fell off, but I mean, it kind of stimulated some new growth, which I'm not too mad about, but I did lose like half the plant, and it eventually grew back, I would say like a third, so it was still smaller by the end of the growing season compared to what it started with. It can handle pretty bright light, but you just have to make sure you acclimate it to direct sunlight. So that is a tip that is really important. I know a lot of us get lazy, especially when we're bringing plants outdoors come the warmer months, and we definitely cannot do that. Do not make the same mistake as me. But I think jade plants are really underrated, and people don't think that they need bright light because they tend to buy it and just put it in random corners, kind of like other succulents, but this one definitely needs bright light in order for it to thrive and do well and grow for you, because otherwise it grows very slow. Last but not least, I want to talk about the ZZ plant. So ZZ plants are typically marketed as very low light tolerant plants, which it's true to an extent. It will definitely survive in darker rooms and, you know, north facing windows. It won't die, it just won't need much water because it has rhizomes, and it can store a lot of water in those rhizomes, which are these like onion looking bulbs. If you ever like repot your ZZ plant, they can definitely, like I said, be okay in lower light situations, but they would be so much happier if you were to put this plant into a brightly lit room, such as a south facing window, west facing window, or even like an east facing window, so that it can get like morning sun. I think that if you were to just keep it in a darker room, it just probably won't do much for you. If you want to keep the plant the same size and same shape and same like everything, then keep it in a lower light situation. But brighter light will definitely make this plant so much happier, and it will speed up the plant growth by like tenfold, I would say. Whether it is a regular ZZ plant, a variegated ZZ plant, a Raven ZZ plant, and just like all the ZZs, they have kind of similar light requirements. So yeah, I think this one a lot of people don't know because they think, oh, ZZ plants, they're totally fine with low light situations, but it's definitely not true. So I hope I shed some light on some of these plants for you guys, and you don't kind of group just succulents and cacti in highlight plant loving groups. And yeah, maybe go out and buy some of these if you have bright windows in your home, and you could kind of make these plants so much happier, as opposed to just keeping it in like dark corners really far from windows, or even like rooms with no windows. So I hope you guys found today's video helpful and enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment down below if you have any highlight loving plants that you own in your collection. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.